Yeah, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us on a Sunday. The questions that we are looking at addressing today are: can I do an MBA at the age of 35 in India? Is it worth pursuing higher education after 30? What are the important factors that go into this decision making process? So, for our discussion today about accelerating your career pursuing an executive master's, we have Dr. Shibani. She is the Deputy Director, SDA Bocconi Asia Center. She is also a TEDx speaker and a leadership coach. We also have Miss Ruchi. She's the marketing head for the SDA Bocconi Asia Center. And I am Shruti, an admissions consultant and career coach. Having pursued higher education from the Indian School of Business and the Stanford Graduate School of Business, I specialize in assisting professionals navigate career growth through pursuing higher education. So, for any questions or assistance on choosing a program or applying to one, feel free to get in touch with us. And for our discussion today, we have the esteemed panel. They will be taking up your questions live, as well as taking up the perspectives and the queries that go around pursuing an executive master's or an executive MBA in India today. So thank you for joining us, and over to you, Ruchi.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you for having us on the panel. Uh, so I'm going to just briefly give you the whole agenda as to how we are going to take ahead with this conversation. We want to keep this conversation as candid as possible. So we would love to hear profiles. We would love to hear those insights on profiles and the bottlenecks that each of you have, that we can probably come up with a solution for you guys. Besides, we will be talking about the school that I represent, which is SDA Bocconi School of Management, and their Asia Center, which is based in Mumbai since 2012. We've been here for about 10, 12 years right now, and we've graduated 10 batches of the full-time program that we have, which is an equivalent to MBA, which is called as the Masters in International Business. And we also have graduated about 6 batches of the executive MBA program that we run at the Asia Center. uh, we do a lot of executive education custom programs with the Indian organizations and international organizations. uh, so SDA Bocconi School of Management is ranked fourth in Europe as a business school. Besides, the school is very well known for its full-time global MBA, which is ranked just sixth this year, which is again in the top 10 across all the rankings. Bocconi has been there amongst the top 10 or the top 20 in the world. Okay, so be it economics, be it social sciences, be it master's program, etc., etc. So Bocconi University is more than 100 years old. Under Bocconi University, there are about 5 other schools which are part of Bocconi University, and their management arm is the SDA Bocconi School of Management, which is also more than 51 years old, legacy back in Europe. Now, with that arm extended to the Asia location, we are here since the last decade or so, and we are catering to the Indian and the Asian market for various executive education requirements, various full-time and part-time master's programs that we deliver. The programs that we deliver at the Asia Center are primarily all the programs that are structured, designed, and thought of by SDA Bocconi School of Management. Okay, so essentially the masters, the legal masters that that the candidate gets once they complete the program, is from SDA Bocconi School of Management and not the Asia Center. Going forward, I'm just going to give a little bit brief about the program that we cater here, and then we can have a conversation with Professor, who's a deputy director for the program. So she will help you understand the nitty-gritties of the curriculum, the way that we have thought through about the program, accessibility of the program, and the delivery of the program back at the Mumbai campus and in the Milan campus. So just a quick overview here. I think we've spoken about the school's legacy and the pedagogy that Bocconi has. These are some of the rankings and accreditations that we would want to highlight upon. It's a triple crown accredited school amongst the very elite schools. There's only a certain percentage of the schools which are actually accredited at that level. This is a program snapshot. It's a 15-month long program where we have two interventions in a month. One intervention is online and one intervention is offline. So, which means that during this 15-month program, each month that you have to come once on campus for 3 days, which is Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Now, the program is designed in such a way by the faculty that most of our faculty, about 90% of our faculty, comes from the main campus. And they are international to its core, which means they are not only the faculties teaching at Bocconi, but across other schools around the world. They also are on, they are also board members. They also have their own businesses. They are entrepreneurs themselves. So they are pretty much not only the academia part of it, but they are purely also in the game of businesses themselves. Then we also have this 2 weeks international immersion in Milan, which is a very integral part of the whole of the delivery of the program, which happens May each year for the candidates. Where they actually go to the main campus at Bocconi in Milan, in Italy, and also they have a certain days allocated for them in our another campus in Italy, which is at Rome. Now, talking about the credibility of the masters that you probably get, this masters has a 60 credit point systems under the European credit transfer system, and it's a legal master which is given or which is under the purview of Italian university laws. So, if you plan to probably move to any other country or European country, or if you want to get validated your program, this is the paper, or this is the system that will validate it for you. This is not just a certificate program. This is a master's program, a rigorous master's program, which is at advanced level, crafted for the executives. Then a very important part that we have changed this year is the career curriculum, the executive career curriculum, which is supported by one of the leading recruitment consulting firms in the world, which is called as Michael Page. We will get into depth about the same, of how they are helping us, what are they helping us with, and what are the other factors which are supported in the executive career curriculum. Lastly, you get alumni status with an access of more than 1.2 lakh global alumni network of Bocconi, which is not only in India but across the world. This is just the learning journey. We start in October 2023 and we end by December of 2024. I think Professor Shibani would probably take you through a little bit on the curriculum aspect of it. The idea to have, once in a month intervention on campus is that we would love to deliver the program at an anchor point or a stature where 70% of the program is delivered in person and 30% of it is probably delivered with accessibility of you reaching out on online classes. So it's going to be alternate weekends. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday one weekend, and the alternating weekend, that would be online classes that you can take it from home. This is just the gist of it. Parallelly, we do the executive career curriculum, which also entails not only the support from Michael Page, but as I said, the leadership skill development activities, which could be coaching, mentoring, networking events, and so on and so forth. This is just a purview of the immersion weeks. This is a sample of what happens during the Milan immersion. There are courses that you take at the school. Besides, there are a lot of company visits, which are also a very integral part of the week that you are there. Then there are some of these events which are curated for the executives based on each cohort. It can be alumni events, it can be mixers, it can be associations and student bodies at the Bocconi, at the School of Management, which you are invited to when you are in Milan. This is a list of faculty that we have, and the whole list is available on our website as well. This is a gist of the batch profile that we have. Historically, we've had about 16 years of average work experience in the class, so it's pretty much a senior level program, where the minimum criteria is that a candidate should have a 9 years of experience, and if there is a slight bit of lesser experience, then it has to be exceptional, literally. And the cohort sizes would have averagely been about 30. This year it's going to be about 45, 50, and that's what we are gauging at. The representation in terms of sectors, we've had good BFSI and energy and gas. Each year that would also sort of change. The highlight here overall is that we're catering to a target or a candidate in the bracket of 16 to 20 years of experience. So if you look at the class, 30% of our class represents that kind of seniority. More than 50% of people already have their MBAs or postgraduate degrees and masters and so on. This is the executive career curriculum. Also, I think this I think Professor Shibani would take you through, and she's curated all of these for you guys. So probably she will get point by point to make you understand what it entails. And simply that the admission process, the admission process, the rounds have already begun. We are in the end of second round. 31st July is going to be the second round deadline. We have allocated some amount of scholarships and tuition waivers for the same for this round as well. The minimum criteria is, of course, 9 years of work experience, somebody who's a working professional already or would want to restart their careers, or has an entrepreneurship journey, or is a business owner rather. There is an entrance exam, or an entrance test rather, which is conducted. Either you have a GMAT or GRE, or you can opt for our internal test, which is the Bocconi test. The total fees for the program is 18 lakhs, and the fees is basically divided into installments over the next 12 months for you. We have financial aid available, which means some partners that we have onboarded in terms of bank and financial institutions would help you finance the program. Yeah, that's about it. I think we can talk about the program and why the program and how it has been so far in the market, in terms of acceptability of the program, in terms of the credibility of how SD Bocconi is looked upon, not only in India but across. I think, Shruti, these are best answers that probably Professor will be able to anchor upon and talk about.
Yes. So thank you, Ruchi, for the introduction, and we've understood about the basics that the program has to offer. Thank you, Professor, for joining us. And the first question that comes to mind when I have a work experience of around maybe 10 years plus, or 16 to 20 years, that is the bracket if the program is looking at, is that what should be my expectations from the program, and how is the program structured, how will it lead me, what is the curriculum like, how will it lead me to my future career goals. So we would like to hear your thoughts on this, and walk us through the right kind of perspectives to look at.
Great. It's a delight to be here with all of you. Is it possible, Shruti, to understand how many participants have logged in currently? I don't seem to see a number. Is there like a
It
number?
seems that so we can see around 17 to 18 people right now.
All right. Okay, great. Your question specifically asks about the role that an MBA or a master's degree has in an individual executive's life. So normally the way our experience and what we've understood is a lot of students apply for a master's program or choose to get back into executive education for three particular reasons. The first one is stagnation in their current role or their current designations and hierarchies in organizations, which means that there needs to be an additional value add that comes from your degrees, which is why, which then allows you, facilitates the promotion that you're looking for or growth in your current organization. So the first reason is generally that. The second reason is where you're looking at switching industries or moving across different kinds of profiles, where you believe that the opportunity of redesigning your skill sets and competencies, along with creating a greater dimension, will allow you to make that switch between industries or between careers. And the third reason is often where you believe that there are so many aspects to your current role and current job which you might necessarily not be able to address effectively. And hence, gaining that domain of knowledge becomes a critical aspect. And it's not so much about wanting to get anywhere with it, but as much as about going through the process of the master's degree. That means a higher education, as we call it. So one of these three reasons is normally what is, a driver for students to want to enroll for these. And each of these is absolutely valid, and each of these is absolutely important. So if you find yourself, fitting in one of these three criteria, then the master's degree is an ideal program for two reasons again. The duration of the program doesn't really take away or eat into your existing career and your existing business as usual or life as usual. It complements it, number one. Number two is that if we're looking at a 15 to an 18-month duration, you actually gather all the skill sets in such a way that you can plan for the next 24 months of your life in a way that allows you to quickly see how you're moving up the ladder. It's not a 2-year program which then asks you to do some additional coursework, which then takes away your bandwidth, and you find yourself stifled for thinking about what your future is going to hold for you, because 24 months is a long time. So the duration is truncated to a level where you can almost envisage what you're going to do by the time your next promotion cycle comes up. And the third and the most important thing is we're one of its kind institute in the country, because we actually have, for the convenience of our Asia participants and our Asia students, we've replicated what we call the facilities of SD Bocconi Milan in Asia. So it saves you the commute of going all the way to Milan. It saves you the time. It saves you the money. You get to experience everything that's been designed in the SD Bocconi, gamut of programs and services within the comfort of your home over here in Asia. The faculty members all fly in literally sometimes for the weekend, but every single faculty member we have in this program is an expert in that domain and area, and they're the best in the world. So it's about literally signing up for one of the best global programs and having it at the comfort of your home in an in-person premise, which then allows, greater learning as well. So this is why I would assume, we're the ideal choice for a program of this nature.
And what
Should we move on to the
about the
next?
curriculum? So yes, so we'll do that. So my next question is that, about the curriculum. So when the curriculum is dispersed across a period of time, how is it structured? And, it is for executives who have probably had their last education at least 10 years before joining this program. So how do you bring them up to speed, and how is it addressing their needs?
Of course. So the curriculum has been designed in 4 different steps. The first one is generally what we refer to as onboarding courses, which are base level courses to ensure that everyone gets on par with certain critical modules that become game changers in your entire journey. For example, statistics, or we talk about basics of strategy. Now, a lot of these modules get covered at the start itself, and we begin from a base level to get everybody's knowledge levels intact, and then rapidly start adding levels on those as we progress through the rest of the program. We have a lot of support in terms of additional reading material and additional reference material, which is provided by every faculty in case there are individuals who are finding themselves like fish out of water in certain domains and modules. On a lighter note, I wasn't the best in statistics myself. But then when we keep this in mind, we realize that it's a lot of self-learning that you need to also indulge in order to be at par with the class, but not to such an extent where you're spending hours and hours poring over books and YouTube videos and tutorials to reach there, because the faculty understands that. And they're going to spend a couple of hours in just reiterating the base. So those of us who might be very comfortable with statistics, for example, as a subject, will find a refresher module happen for the first couple of hours. And then we move up where we then say, now that the base is set, let's look at some of the additional concepts and frameworks and, applications of this model that will start helping us in the way we develop our competencies. The program has an onboarding program. Then we get down into the meat of the courses, which are also at 2 levels. To give you another example here, onboarding has business communications part 1, which is essentially referred to as, your professional communication, from obviously not from a base level perspective of verbal or written, but about what it really means to get a seat at the table, and what do you really mean when you're talking about dealing with the XCOM, and what are the nuances of having a very well drafted argument, as we call it. So we do business communications 1. And then as you've progressed through the rest of the modules, we have business communications part 2, which then brings about a really more in-depth perspective that if you were on camera, if you were representing your organization, what is the meaning of being able to have that presence? How do you create a brand for yourself, and elements which will then help you progress as you move up the ladder in different roles. So each of the modules is crafted with this in mind. Of course, an additional part of the curriculum that I must highlight is it's a 360-degree process. It's not just about gaining knowledge and wisdom from the modules that are typically covered in a management domain, such as marketing, finance, strategy, operations, supply chain, and so on, HR. But it's also about understanding that at the end of the day, our career stages go through different kinds of durations, and we're all at different stages in our careers. And I saw some comments and questions there that, is this program apt for someone who's an entrepreneur? Is this program apt for someone in 15 years? Absolutely. Because the way we've crafted this entire curriculum is to be able to deliver to that need. For example, career cafes that Ruchi mentioned earlier are conversations with Michael Page, the best around the globe. They are recruitment agencies, placement consultants, HR, partners who talk to us about what are the trends globally. Where are we really looking at, wanting to progress with our careers? Who's hiring? What kind of skills and competencies are in short supply? Where should somebody with our kind of profile look at fitting in, perhaps in the next couple of years? They talk to us about what it means to really present a resume. They talk to us about interviewing. They talk to us about salary negotiation. So we've got the career cafes that fit in beautifully into this agenda. We've also got coaching, which is a unique offering that no other business school is currently doing, which is a one-on-one career coaching with ICFN PCC certified coaches. And coaching is an expensive proposition if you go outside and just try to avail it by yourself. And most organizations restrict this only for their C-suite and top leaders in the firm. But we believe that you're coming here, to make a difference to your lives. And we've invested in some of the best coaches who will give you one-on-one coaching for your career. Now, imagine the career cafes, your personal career coach, the entire curriculum designed in this fashion, and to top it up, access to networks that SDA Bocconi is going to open up for you, such as the alumni network. Michael Page, in fact, is offered to put up your profiles on their website for a particular period of time, so you get that visibility. There it is. We've also got the opportunity of having leader series. That means we've got the greatest, most acclaimed leaders in the industry who are coming here to talk to us about their stories. To give you an example, we had the CEO of NCDEX who came here to address us on public government, private government partnerships. Now, when you have these leaders who come in and have a conversation with a cohort of 50 and 60, you get an opportunity to network with these individuals. And then you're also building visibility for yourself from a strategic perspective. We had the CMO of Kotak Mahindra Bank come and talk to us about digitization and the digital world of marketing from a banking perspective. So the kinds of people and leaders we're bringing into the forum also give you huge access to leaders in the industry, not just here, but in Milan as well. So essentially what we're doing is we're laying down the right kinds of stones, paving the path for your success from every possible way. All it requires is for you to have the commitment to want to complete the course in in the duration, and you see yourself absolutely set to make that quantum leap. So
Yes, thank you, Professor.
that's short of the long.
Thank you, Professor. It was a very elaborate and very clear transition path, actually. So, from your experience, what are the key challenges that individuals, at this point in their careers, they face when they are planning to transition careers post completion of the program, and maybe what are the kind of obstacles that they should be ready for and prepare for?
So I think challenges and careers come from multiple places. It's not just about, sort of like the obstacles from work, essentially, but the ability to believe that we can negotiate greater roles and positions for ourselves. So very often we know that we have what it takes, but we're not able to present that in a way that creates credibility for us. And what this does then is it makes us work on a back foot. What our program and what we're doing through the career cafes and the coaching and the classes on negotiation skills and so on is to prepare our mindset to be able to deal with a very aggressive strategy for our own career transition. In my experience over the last decades now, I've noticed that it's a chicken and an egg scenario. We feel often that we lack the wherewithal to apply for a career transition or a role or to get into that transition because we don't have the requisite experience in that category. But that, according to me, is just part of the problem. The main aspect we need to wrap our heads around is, am I ready to take this on as a challenge when I'm looking at a career transition? And then how do you play the game on your front foot? Which essentially means highlight your competencies, your skill sets, your desires, and your agility to want to get ahead of the game. And most people invest not just in skill sets, but in people's attitudes and in people's ability to bring value to the table. So I think that rather than look at this as somebody handing over a certificate to you which says from tomorrow you're eligible for this new role, it's about you realizing that you're prepared for the new role. And that's what we do. Because it's not always only about skills and competencies, and experience can only come when you get that first door to open for you. But getting that first door to open is what we enable.
Yes, and I think that also connects a lot with the entrepreneurs, the situation that entrepreneurs face. So they are not probably looking at a direct career transition, but they are looking at furthering their presence or in terms of their aspirations, looking at more options. So would you, suggest some plans that entrepreneurs specifically can look at and some value addition that they can look at from this program?
Absolutely, we love entrepreneurs, and I think if you're an entrepreneur, this is it's fantastic that you're willing to take the time to invest in your dreams. I am an entrepreneur myself, and I understand that very often we rely heavily on our own intuition, on our own trial and error methods. Sometimes we find ourselves falling short of the right networks, maybe even the right resources. And this program actually addresses all of that. And I realized that, having done my master's several years ago, but I realized that even now, if I were to go back and sit in class, and sometimes I do that, I just come and sit in the class to listen in, and refresh the research that's happening around the world in the globe and what could be a way forward. So entrepreneurs are most welcome, most admired, and absolutely cherished in this program, because what you bring to the table is the fact that you're willing to learn, you're willing to experiment, you're willing to change your thought process because you're in this for the long run. So entrepreneurs benefit tremendously. You get a lot of structure and a lot of, as I would like to say, carved, curated pathways that you can pick and choose from. Instead of trying to do a trial and error by yourself, here you're sitting amidst a cohort of like-minded, some working executives and the best faculty in the world, who can tell you that, hey, don't go down this road. There are some pitfalls. This is an alternative strategy for you. So it is valuable for entrepreneurs, totally valuable.
Correct. And I think agility is the key word here. So as a professional, you need to be able to demonstrate or your agility, have that mindset and, be on it all the time. So, Professor, at this point, could you share some, success stories or instances of the IEMB graduates who have been able to navigate career transitions.
Ruchi, do you have that slide handy by any chance?
Yes, absolutely. Allow me a moment. Meanwhile, if you can just take up the next question.
Yes, I'll come to the next question. That is about international, navigating your career on the international platform. So, what are the challenges that individuals, especially who have had a career or prolonged career within India, they will face when they are transitioning their careers post completion of the program from the international point of view? Going global. How can they go
This is
global
a
with
very
their
valuable.
career?
This is a very valuable degree. Sorry, a very valuable diploma or certificate, as we call it, for those who are looking at international careers. Because Ruchi explained at the start that there are credit systems that are acknowledged across the world when you're looking at wanting to quantify it. So it's a very, very valuable master's. It comes straight from SJ Bocconi Milan, which is a great and one of the best in the world. So it's a very, very valuable program.
Right. I think I think we have a few profile evaluations, and Professor, you did take them up. So this is an entrepreneur with around 10 years of experience in family business. So one question that is probably not answered is that is the Milan immersion fee or the cost was that included in the program fee itself. So Ruchi, if you could address that for us.
Sure. So yes, that's an additional amount that the candidates have to bear. The tuition fees includes everything that is considered, academics point of view. When you are in Bombay, there are some additional things that you have to take into consideration, which is your travel and probably your stay for these 3 days. That is not considered in this. Your midday meals, your meals when you're on campus, that is something that you can that we take care of. But besides, when you go to Milan, say about a lakh to 1.5 to 2, depending on how you want to spend and where you stay, etc. That would cost about for 2 weeks. That would include your tickets, your food, your visa, etc., etc. So a lot of our
Yeah.
candidates also
So
actually come through corporates, which means that they have spoken internally with their organizations to either partially fund them or to fully fund them. So all the conversations that we are having even now, I mean, certainly there are two support systems which I think everybody needs to take into consideration is the support from your organization and from your family. And I think a lot has changed over the years, and a lot of organizations are really open to also sort of support this kind of step for their employees.
right. And I think one last question that is still, so what are the kind of you know characteristics that the school is looking for in the application process? What is the application process like? And how, what is a good or a successful applicant like for the ST Bocconi IEMB program? What do you look for?
So I think professor would be the right person to take this up. Of course, we look at an extensive history of the candidate, which means from his academics to probably what he's done in the recent past years and the whole of his career growth. But besides, I think professor would be able to add more specific pointers in terms of what kind of cohort that we are really trying to put together, in terms of how we would want our peer-to-peer learning, how we want everyone at a certain level in the class to incorporate a lot of knowledge and community building for the school.
Well, half the question is exactly what Ruchi's described right now, but the other piece, which I think becomes a little imperative for us to lay the context about, is not everybody gets into the program. Primarily, as she mentioned, We're looking at a very meaningful cohort that is able to feed into each other's strengths and that is able to derive major learning when when the structured program is not necessarily in action. For example, if you had to work on a project or an assignment, then what kinds of specialties, what kinds of experts would you like to interact with when you're doing that? What are the kinds of industries we want to bring in people for? But more than that, we are looking for a keen sense of perseverance. We're looking for a very, very keen belief in the value of the program. We're looking at individuals who are willing to put in that extra effort because the program is not easy. And we're also looking for the individuals who believe in absolutely wanting to go undergo the master's program, not necessarily only for the piece of paper at the end of it, but to engage in a very high intensive powerful learning experience. So we're looking at attitude, we're looking at capability, we're looking at capacity, we're looking at perseverance, we're looking at value systems. So it's a combination of all of this. And some of our stars are here. They've come back to contribute to the to the campus. For example, Bidisha Banerjee moved on to be a senior VP at Wellspun. Wellspun's now come back to us wanting to for us to curate programs for them. They love us, So Ankit Dikshit, we've got Arjun Goradia again, who's come back looking at doing work with Neelam. Of course, has been a star in our previous batch. Lots and lots of fantastic profiles. So we've got people from across Dubai and the Middle East also coming in for the program.
So these are just the few that we've actually showcased right now. The list goes on. We usually try and map our applicants to also sort of understand where they come from, and probably they can have the discussion once they do their submissions on the application. They are mapped with a certain alumni if they would want to get some kind of feedback from them. But yeah, if this is just a couple of them on the screen that we have showcased. There are lots of them who've started getting some kind of progression once they enroll post 3 months of the program they are into. That's where they either take up some extra responsibilities in their own organization, or probably look at, say, promotions or changing organizations depending on the situation of each candidate. But typically after 3 to 6 months is when you can say that they start reflecting on their journeys, and they start putting down say pathways for them more clearly in terms of what do they want. A lot of them have also got internal promotions. They have vertically moved in their organizations as well. Besides the fact that a lot of people after the program they've completed, they have moved countries in the same organization as well. So it's a very thoughtful process or a learning path that they have created, and hence I keep mentioning that the two support systems in terms of your organizations and your family, they go just hand in hand till the time you complete the whole program. And it's a very valid conversation that you need to have with both of them to understand where they can actually help you in this journey.
Yes. And thank you, Professor, and thank you, Ruchi, for joining us today. This is a very important discussion and a very it's something that is not happening a lot, because the question becomes and it stays that, can I do an MBA when I am 30 or 35? Are there higher education opportunities for me to pursue, especially in India? And just to give a closing note, Avisha has shared the email address over here. You can always get in touch for a profile review. You can also download the school's the brochure, learn about it, get in touch with us in case you want to see if it is a good fit. You can get in touch with the IEMB team as well. Ruchi and Avisha will be there to help you, and
Absolutely.
decide if this is the right program for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you for helping us put this together. And I'm hoping that a lot of the content and the conversation really stirred a lot of thoughts who've watched us today. And if there is anything that we can, you guys can get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to clarify and see the fitment for you in person. So we also do evaluations before you start your application. So we will be more than happy to do that for the candidates.
Great. And people are actually looking for options beyond the traditional MBAs and beyond the traditional programs. This is one program that is, certainly fitting the bill over there. So thank you for having us today and joining us for this interaction. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.